The secret Ethan had always been good at hiding things. Asterisk, he hid the fact that he hated the business degree his father forced him to study. Hey, he hid how lonely he felt in a city full of people. Hey, most carefully, he hid the truth about himself. Asterisk, at 22, Ethan lived in a small apartment near campus with his best friend and roommate, Jake. Asterisk, Jake was everything Ethan wasn't: confident, loud, charming, and effortlessly loved by everyone. He played basketball, made friends everywhere he went, and somehow turned every boring moment into something unforgettable. Asterisk, and Ethan had been in love with him for 2 years. Asterisk, a secret love, the kind that lived in silence. Asterisk, every morning, Ethan watched Jake make coffee in their tiny kitchen, messy-haired and half awake, wearing old hoodies and that lazy smile that made Ethan's heart betray him every single time. Asterisk, why are you staring at me like I owe you money? Jake asked one morning. Asterisk, Ethan quickly looked down at his cereal. I'm wondering why you still think pineapple belongs on pizza. Asterisk, Jake gasped dramatically. Because I have taste, unlike you. They laughed. That was the problem. Asterisk, Jake was his home, and Ethan could never risk losing that, so he stayed quiet until Daniel came back. Asterisk, Daniel was Ethan's ex's first love, first heartbreak, and first real lesson that love could destroy you. Asterisk, they had dated secretly in high school. Daniel had promised forever. Asterisk, then one day, when rumors started spreading, Daniel denied everything, denied Ethan, denied them, and Ethan was left alone to survive the whispers. Asterisk, now. 3 years later, Daniel stood in front of him on campus like a ghost. Asterisk, Ethan. Ethan froze. Daniel looked older, sharper, but those same eyes still carried memories Ethan wished he could erase. Asterisk, I transferred here, Daniel said softly. Asterisk, Ethan gave a cold smile. Congratulations. Asterisk, I've been trying to talk to you. Asterisk, I noticed I was ignoring you. Asterisk, Daniel sighed. I deserve that. Asterisk, yes, you do. Ethan walked away, but his hands were shaking. That night, Jake noticed. Asterisk, you've been weird all day, Jake said, sitting beside him on the couch. What happened? Ethan stared at the TV without seeing it. Someone from my past came back. Asterisk, Jake's voice softened. Bad history. Asterisk, the worst kind. Asterisk, Jake nodded. You want to talk about it? Ethan almost said it, almost told him everything but fear won again. No, but thanks. Jake looked disappointed, but he didn't push. That was Jake, always there, never forcing, just waiting. The next few weeks became unbearable. Daniel kept appearing outside class, at the cafe near Ethan's apartment. Asterisk, I just want to explain, Daniel said one evening. Asterisk, there's nothing to explain. Asterisk, I was scared. Asterisk, and I was destroyed. Daniel looked down. I was 17. Ethan, I was terrified. Asterisk, and I was 17 too, Ethan said, voice breaking. But I still chose you. Silence. Daniel whispered, I never stopped loving you. Asterisk, Ethan laughed bitterly. Asterisk, that's the problem. Love without courage means nothing. He walked away again, but Jake had seen. Asterisk, and later that night, the apartment felt different. Jake stood by the kitchen counter, arms crossed. So, Daniel? Ethan stopped. You know him? Asterisk, Jake nodded slowly. I heard enough. Asterisk, Ethan's stomach dropped. Asterisk, there it was. The moment. The end. Jake looked at him carefully. Asterisk, you were together? Ethan couldn't breathe. He nodded once. Jake was quiet for so long, Ethan thought silence might kill him. Finally, Jake asked, why didn't you tell me? Ethan laughed painfully. Because I was scared. Asterisk of me. Asterisk, yes. Asterisk, Jake stepped closer. Asterisk, Ethan, I'm your best friend. Asterisk, exactly, Ethan whispered. I couldn't lose that. Jake's face changed to something softer, sadder. You really thought I'd leave? Asterisk, I didn't know. Jake looked away. That hurts. Ethan felt tears threatening. I know. Jake grabbed his keys. I need air. Asterisk, and then he left. Asterisk, Ethan stood alone in the apartment, feeling like he had just broken the only good thing in his life. For 3 days, Jake barely spoke. Short answers. Late nights. Distance. It was worse than anger. It was absence. Asterisk, Ethan convinced himself. He had ruined everything. Then Friday came. Rain hammered the windows. and Ethan sat alone in the apartment when the door opened. Jake walked in, soaked. "We need to talk." Ethan stood. Jake dropped his bag. Asterisk. "I wasn't upset because you're gay." Ethan blinked. Jake continued. "I was upset because you thought you had to hide from me. Because for 2 years, apparently, my best friend has been carrying this. Alone." Ethan swallowed hard. "I'm sorry." Jake stepped closer. "I kept asking myself why it bothered me so much. Why seeing Daniel near you made me so angry." Ethan's heart started racing. Jake smiled sadly. Asterisk. "And then I realized something terrifying." Asterisk. Ethan whispered. "What?" Jake looked directly at him. "I think I'm in love with you too." Silence. Real, breathless silence. Asterisk. Ethan thought. He imagined it. Asterisk. "You don't have to say anything," Jake said quickly. "Maybe I'm late. Maybe I ruined everything. But I couldn't keep pretending either." Ethan crossed the room before his brain could stop him. He kissed him, soft, shaking. Years of silence finally breaking when they pulled apart. Jake rested his forehead against Ethan's. Asterisk. "Well," Jake whispered, smiling. "That answers that." Ethan laughed through tears. "You idiot." Asterisk. "You're idiot." Asterisk. For the first time in years. Ethan felt free, but love was never that simple. News spread quickly. Asterisk. Not because they announced it, because people notice. Asterisk. The looks, the whispers, the stares. Some friends were supportive. Some disappeared. Asterisk. And then Ethan's father called. Asterisk. "Come home, now." Jake offered to go with him. Ethan shook his head. Asterisk. "I need to do this myself." The drive home felt like returning to a courtroom. His father sat in the living room, rigid and cold. His mother stood nearby, worried. His father held his phone. Asterisk. "I heard something today. Tell me it isn't true." Ethan looked at him. For once, he didn't want to hide. Asterisk. "It's true." Silence. His father's face hardened. Asterisk. "You're throwing your life away." Asterisk. "No, I'm finally living it." His father stood. "This is not how I raised you." Ethan's voice trembled, but he stood firm. "No, you raised me to lie, to survive, to be someone you could accept." His mother quietly cried. His father pointed to the door. Asterisk. "If you walk this path, don't expect my support." Asterisk. The words hurt. Asterisk. But strangely, didn't destroy him. Asterisk. Because he had spent too many years destroying himself already. Asterisk. Ethan nodded. Asterisk. "Then I guess this is goodbye." He left, shaking but standing. Outside, Jake was there, leaning against a car, waiting. Asterisk. Ethan stared. Asterisk. "You came anyway." Jake shrugged. "You really thought I'd let you do this alone?" Ethan walked into his arms and finally let himself break. Jake held him through all of it. Asterisk. And, for the first time, heartbreak didn't feel like an ending. It felt like a beginning. Months. Past healing was slow. His father never called. Asterisk. His mother sent quiet messages. Small bridges. Tiny hope. Daniel disappeared from the story, as he should have. And Jake stayed, through exams, through panic attacks, through late-night fears and early morning dreams. Asterisk. Love, Ethan learned, wasn't grand speeches. Asterisk. It was someone remembering how you took your coffee. Someone staying. Someone choosing you again and again. Asterisk. One winter evening, they returned to their apartment rooftop. City lights glowing below. Asterisk. The same place where Ethan once stood alone, convinced happiness belonged to other people. Asterisk. Jake handed him hot chocolate. Asterisk. Deep thoughts. Ethan smiled, just thinking how stupid we were. Asterisk. Jake laughed. Especially you. Asterisk. Especially me. Jake looked at him. Any regrets? Ethan watched the skyline. He thought of fear, of silence, of Daniel, of his father, of every version of himself that survived long enough to get here. Then he looked at Jake. Only that I didn't tell you sooner. Jake smiled. Good, because I planned on being annoyingly in love with you for a very long time. Ethan leaned against him. Sounds exhausting. Asterisk. It is. But you're worth it. Asterisk. Under the city lights, with winter air around them, and truth finally between them. Ethan realized something simple and powerful. Asterisk. Sometimes the person you're most afraid to lose is the person who was always meant to stay. And this time, he wasn't hiding anymore.